Oh, caught me right when I was taking a sip there. All right, everybody. Welcome back. So welcome back, Alexi. Anybody watching live, like, subscribe. I feel good because we finally did a preview that at least the team won. It's been a while.
No.
At least the
Do you know,
team
I was
won.
thinking that since I joined this channel, I think we've only won about 2 games.
I think for our previews, yeah, we haven't been lucky. And we've definitely
No.
been way off on the score predictions. Rory got it right last time. Rory had it spot on with the 3-1.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it. How are you feeling right now? Chelsea's arguably one of the most informed teams in Europe, never mind just England. And we're kind of in a weird picking up of form if we beat Chelsea. But if we don't, we're in just a weird like draw state, I like to call it. I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting game, isn't it, really? I think it's one of those games where if you win it, top four, I think it's close. It's not done. Obviously, we know it's not done, but it's very close to where you can say we have a lead now that's so good that it's hard to mess up. And we could even afford to mess up a couple of games. I think even if we were to lose, I know it wouldn't be great, and I'm sure there'll be loads of overreaction online about various things, but it's still not the end of the world. But in this game on its own, you'd say it's not the end of the world. But the problem is, I think I didn't used to buy this being an issue, but I do now because it's been so many games. The only goal we've scored against a top six side this season was a Bruno Fernandes penalty in a 6-1 loss. And I think every big game we've played, I think we've been defensively brilliant, like other than the 6-1, obviously. Defensively brilliant, not really giving away too many chances, like Anfield, Arsenal, etc. But in every single one of those games, Chelsea as well, in the last game, every single one of those games has followed the same pattern. We defend really well, we have the better chances, and we can't finish the chances because we really could easily have beaten Arsenal with that Cavani chance. Liverpool,
Yeah, we should have beat
I think
ourselves.
there was a Pogba chance, I believe. Chelsea, I think didn't Rashford like hit the post or something at the end?
No, Mendy made a ridiculous save. That was like Mendy was running on that new team adrenaline, and Rashford he cut in, and it was a banger of a shot, and Mendy it was a great save. And that's the thing when you look at games like that, and people will say, "Oh, dead game" or XYZ. It was like, well, no, there was 2 moments of brilliance in that moment where Rashford's shot was fantastic, but Mendy's save was even better. If it was Kepa in net, everybody agrees that game would have been done, and we would have won that game.
Was in there, I mean, that's a 4-0 win, and I don't even know if we had 4 shots.
Yeah, it's like it's funny because, and like you said with the Arsenal game, Arsenal. Okay, so this is the problem with Arsenal. Arsenal somehow just have our number. We haven't beat Arsenal in a while, but that goes to something that I wanted to focus on a bit was. Everyone's talking about the Chelsea revolution, Tuchel's Chelsea, the way he's playing. It's just clearly a very more structured team, more structured side, which is fine. I don't mind that. I'm not somebody who thinks there's a problem with that style of play. But Ollie's beaten Tuchel how many times now?
He's beaten him twice. And interestingly, both of them are away from home.
Yeah, and he lost once.
Yeah. I think he lost twice, actually, didn't he? Because we lost.
Did he?
Yeah, because we lost the first leg 2 years ago, and then we lost against them at home, didn't we, a few months ago?
So we beat them on the return leg in Paris, and then we beat them at home. No, it's 2-2. It's 2-2 because we beat them on the return leg in Paris. They beat us on the first one, and then we beat them again. Away, and then they beat us at Old Trafford. So 2-2. Interesting. It's an interesting little duel there. As like Tuchel's regarded as one of the better managers in the world at this stage in his career, and Ollie's still on the rise. And if Ollie beats Tuchel, that'll be 3-2 Ollie, which would be nice, and it'll just be another little feather in his cap. And I agree with you. Whoever wins this game, it kind of cements the top 4, at least for us. I think if Chelsea wins, I think it catapults them into the top 4 and then gives us a little bit of a problem where we have to then knock out Leicester to ensure our spot. But I think if we beat Chelsea, we lock in second place pretty much. But I think it's what you said here is pretty important. Is we have to start scoring against the top 6 sides because we still have everybody to play. We still have another return leg against Arsenal. We still have another return match against City coming up this week or next week. Sorry, because there's a double game week. Not this week. It's the next week. There's a big game week coming up. So we still have all the top sides to play against. And you can't win games if you're not scoring goals against them. And we need to win a couple of those games to kind of just cement ourselves. I've really focused in on Europa League as the tournament we have to win. And I think to do that, we have to have a comfortable league form. Like, I mean, we have to feel like when we go into these league games, we're going to get a result no matter what. Like, we can't lose many more games for the rest of the year. I'd say the only game we can really afford to lose will be against City. And we could maybe afford to lose the game against Liverpool because they're doing so poorly. It won't really hurt us that much. But at this stage, we should be beating Liverpool if they don't have any center backs and if they continue to be in the form they're in. I think you made a good point that this game is really important for the top 4 race. And I do think it's really important for our cementing our confidence moving forward because we go up against Crystal Palace, who, if we're going to be honest, destroyed us when they came to Old Trafford. It's all right. It's one of the blemishes on our year. But with Chelsea, what scares you most about this new 2 goals Chelsea? Is it the fact that they now can defend, or is it that they seem a little bit more organized moving forward?
I think this sounds probably a bit harsh on Frank Lampard. I just think them being organized and there's some patterns of play emerging. I think he's been compared a bit to Van Gaal, hasn't he? I don't know how true that is because I don't know enough about him to make a sound judgment on his whole philosophy. But from what I've seen of Chelsea, they look like a more well-drilled team already because Lampard, it was too early for him. There wasn't any evidence he was a good manager. But I think Tuchel, what he's done quite well with, is he's looked at players, so like Marcus Alonso, someone like that pops into my head, or Hudson-Odoi, or Werner even, because he'd been out of the team. You know, he's got players who've been out of the team for a bit, and he's brought them back in, and they're playing quite well. And suddenly you have like a whole squad that's happy. Because I mean, this isn't my point. I'm stealing it from the Athletics. I read an article, but they were saying that the whole squad, even those that aren't playing, are quite happy now because Tuchel's communicating with them. Whereas Lampard before wouldn't speak to players for months.
Lampard had the Jose thing from what I read that. I know which article you're talking about. And it seems like Lampard, oddly enough, learned a lot of his man management from Jose Mourinho, which doesn't work in today's game. We've learned that these players don't have the same build and minerals that the older guys had. They were okay with being out in the cold. They were okay with having to earn the manager's respect. These players need an arm around them. And it is weird because there's a lot of players not in the team. Like, where's Ben? Is Ben Chilwell hurt? Like,
Ben Chilwell, is
he hurt? Because Marcus Alonso's not good, but he's good in this Tuchel ecosystem, but he's not that good of a player, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think what it is because he's been playing 3 at the back a bit, hasn't he?
And that's what it is. And Ben Chilwell can't play and he's not a wing back. That's the thing. And Alonso, that's the one thing. Alonso as a wing back is one of the best wing backs in the world, but it's such a niche position. Like it's very niche. Like most teams don't play with a back 3 on a regular basis. Conte did, obviously. And still
it's a bit like Conte, isn't it? This side in a way, because he's kind of taken a side that was struggling. A lot of stars, like when Conte took over from, well, it was Hiddink, but it was Mourinho really, because Mourinho had done all the damage. But like when Conte took over, he had quite a damaged side mentally, and they had quite a few good players that weren't playing very well for various reasons. And what Conte did is he sat down and went, okay, we'll get Alonso in, we'll get David Luiz in, and people went. And then suddenly he had Victor Moses, who no one thought would succeed at Chelsea, really. Victor Moses had the season of his life because Conte made a system that worked for his players. And the 3 at the back or 5, whatever you want to call it, worked really well. And I think I don't think Tuchel is similar to Conte in many ways, but in this way, I think it is very similar. I think we could see a Chelsea side that play quite similar to how Conte used to set up the teams, and that's how they get the best out of them. That's how maybe you get the best out of a Marcus Alonso or
kind of
Timo Werner.
It's very interesting because Anita from the Terrace said the same thing earlier. She was like, I'm confident now because Frank's not there. Like she's like, I'm more confident. She said I'm more confident than I was at the start of the year, which is elaborating because your manager's different. Let's be honest. That's like a lot of people had a problem with saying that they didn't want Frank out because, you know, all the sentiment or whatnot. But we are seeing, and this is an argument that I will give all the Ollie outers out there. I will give them this one if they want to use a comparison. We are seeing what a Chelsea side that seemed like they were basically dead in the water this year could do when they were given a better coach or manager. He's only been there for 7 or 8 games, so it's a small sample size. But at the end of the day, football is a very interesting sport when it comes to the manager. It's not just about the coaching. The management of the team and the man managing is so important that it can completely transform a team. Where this is where I put Ollie's a great man manager, and the jury's still out how good of a coach he is because, again, he needs to coach us past those big games and win in finals and whatnot. And if he blows through this year and gets us second place, 8 points behind City, nobody can say anything because that'll be the best, like back-to-back Champions League through top 4. Then you'll have multiple, again, hopefully a final appearance or something. It'll just be the writings on the wall. He doesn't fit our system. He is suspect when he's under pressure, and we play one-touch football. He doesn't cut it when we're going to sell him this summer, realistically. Ben Chilwell. Wow. That's a big take. That's a big take from Abdi. So, you know what? That's a big take, and I want to talk about that, but I know it's the United show, but like Chilwell, Leicester have this ability of getting rid of players at a premium that, like, I thought Chilwell was a good player when he was at Leicester, but I never thought he was a 60 million pound player, right? The same with Maguire. Like, if we're going to keep it, let's go both sides. Maguire was it's the English premium. We're now seeing Chilwell get dropped by the better manager. So is that saying, like, at this point, are Chelsea going to have to cut bait on Ben Chilwell, right? Because are they going to have to look for they scammed us 35 million for drink water? That's so true. I completely forgot about that. I forget this man's playing in the under 23s getting slide tackled by 16-year-olds. I remember that. Oh, that's good. But yeah, so that's going to be an interesting. If they go back 3, I'm really looking forward to see how Ollie sets up because we're missing players too, right? So we don't have Scott. The no Pogba experience continues. That's what I'm calling it, the no Pogba experience, because it's a bad experience right now and I hate it. I don't think Cavani's fit. I think he's a maybe. He might be a game time decision. Even if he plays, it's probably from the bench. So let's go into our starting 11 because realistically, it's going to be an interesting one. Rory got it spot on with Dan James. I'm curious if Ollie tries a diamond against this team. I'm curious if he tries it. And if he just goes with Greenwood and Rashford up top and brings Donny in. But I you know what I mean? I don't think he'll match a back 3 for back 3 because we just don't have the wing backs for it. But I am curious if he just goes with a diamond midfield and he actually brings Donny van de Beek in from the cold and he goes with Matic sitting, Van de Beek, Bruno in the hole, and then Fred. And then he puts Rashford and Greenwood up top. Because Martial's form is still just so like he's almost becoming a liability.
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for him at this point.
I feel so sorry for him. There's no now. It's turned. We were talking about it last night on the pod. You should definitely check it out. It's coming out later. I didn't dump on him. I was honest about who I thought he was, but we were very careful not to dump on the kid because a lot of us the consensus was you're now feeling sorry for Martial. But I don't think he can. I don't know if he starts against Chelsea. What do you think? Who would you put in the front 3?
Yeah, do you know what? It's a big issue, I think, not having Cavani for this because, yeah, like you said, Martial is. I mean, it's kind of slightly off topic, but when Jose Mourinho was kind of coming for Marshall, I really defended him quite strongly from that, and for years. He's literally one of my favourite players, but there comes a point where you've just got to accept that it's just not happening anymore, and that's the reality of it. And he's just so shot of confidence. And I thought, when he scored against Southampton, I thought, oh, maybe he'll kick on now. But everything just looks a bit off. His movement, everything like that, just looks a bit off. So, but then the complete opposite, I'd say, of that at the moment is Mason Greenwood, who, after he had his time out in the cold for a bit, I think he went away and trained and worked a lot on his all-round game, to be honest, because you look at him now, and I noticed it against Sociedad last night. No, it wasn't last night, was it? Whenever it was. His tracking back is a lot better than it used to be.
He's working harder.
He's working harder, and his crossing is a lot better. His passing is a lot better. And obviously, we still know he's a great finisher. And I think he's kind of gone a bit from this raw talent who is brilliant still, even if it was just that raw talent. But this raw talent, who's probably a striker playing on the right wing, which I have no problem with because he was great there, to now looking like, oh, maybe he's a right winger. And he looks really accomplished in that role now, doesn't he?
I think what you hit on there is that he was uber talented player. He has so much talent. Like his crossing, his passing, it's all gotten better because he's always had those skills. That's the one thing about Greenwood that people like. Remember the long ball over the top to Bruno. I can't remember who it was against, but it was one of the best patterns of play we had last year. And it started from the back, and then Greenwood head up and he hit Bruno away. I think so. And Bruno it was a volley. Bruno one time volleyed the pass. It's always been in the locker for Greenwood, and he's starting to put it all together. And there's no coincidence that his work rate has skyrocketed since Cavani's come in. It's not a coincidence because you know what? Again, not to jump on Marcelo or whatever, but when you look at you look around the players, you look who's working hard. When you look at a striker like Cavani, Greenwood's come out and said he wants to be a center forward eventually. Okay, so go look at the center forward who's one of the best in the world. Like you go look at the center forward who's one of the best in the world. Thanks, Benji. It was Brighton away. And you say, what is he doing that I don't do? And it's working hard, man. He works so hard. So I want to see, I want to see those two up top and Ollie try a diamond. You can always switch it up later on. But I think when we're missing without Pogba, without Scott, I'm scared of having a midfield of Fred, Matic, and Bruno, because that's what it's looking like. If you were to go with a midfield three, I think we need to overload the midfield and bring Donny in so we can have more control of the game, because Kovacic and Jorginho are playing phenomenal in the midfield. They are controlling the game, and we need to take that away from them. We need to just if we have Donny and Bruno in there and just let Matic sit, you can tell Fred, just go be a pest. Go do what you do. Go kick somebody, get the ball, and just get it to Donny or Bruno. Like I'm a little bit over Fred at this moment too. He's played a few more games than I like. He just for me been so inconsistent with his passing that it's a little frustrating.
I think Fred to me is like I really like Fred, and I think he's a pretty good player. But I think I don't know how to word it. He's a player that is suited like perfectly to some games, but then to other games, it's like you don't really need him to be there. So you don't need him against West Brom when it's Matic and Fred holding, I don't think. But I think overall, his improvement, because he's another one, when Jose Mourinho left, I mean, Mourinho bought him and just didn't play him. And Fred was mocked quite a lot. But I think he's improved a lot, and he's definitely got a role to play.
He was a Mourinho scapegoat. He was one of those guys Mourinho was basically saying, oh, I never really wanted him. And you're like, all right, Mourinho, cool. Like, I loved Jose Mourinho as our manager up until when he killed it. The Sevilla game was a big one. That hurt me. The Liverpool game really hurt me when he played Lindelof in midfield. Bench Pogba, I was like...
Well, that was self-harm, though, that game, because he took off Dallo at fullback and he put on Fellaini. And it was just almost asking.
It was self-sabotage. It was like when you're in a relationship, by using an example, and you want out, you just do something terrible and get caught. Yeah, like that's what you do, and you just do something, and you're like, you got to let me go now. Like that's what Mourinho was doing. He was just trying to get his payout, and the comments about Pogba in the World Cup, that killed me. I'm like, you know the type of person Pogba is, and you went on record and said you believe that the World Cup was the best place for him because that's where he could focus. And I'm just like, just congratulate the man. Just say he was one of the best players in the world. He's one of ours, and move on. And this is where Ollie gets it bang on. He doesn't slag off any of our players. He's handled Martial very well in the media, even on the pitch. He's given him his chances. And I think back to my team, I think the back four picks itself again. Bailly was in, meaning Lindelof will come back. Those two are now going to, I think, rotate through cup tournaments in the league. It'll be Lindelof when he's fit. Maguire actually didn't play. Like, that was crazy. Maguire didn't play a game. I was shocked. Maguire will be back, the captain, and then Aaron Wan-Bissaka on the right. And we're going to have on the left-hand side, obviously, Luke Shaw. I'm really, really looking forward to Aaron Wan-Bissaka just erase Timo Werner. Like, I'm looking so forward to Timo Werner have absolutely no way in. And but I am scared that Chelsea's going to do the right thing and start Giroud up top. And
no, honestly, he terrifies me. He absolutely terrifies me. He's just one of those players that, like, I don't know, every time I seem to watch him, he just scores a ridiculous goal. And like, I don't know when this was. Do you remember a few years ago we played Arsenal? I think it was when Mourinho was there, and we were 1-0 up. It was at Old Trafford till about 88th minute. And Giroud just pops up at the end and scores, and it
was a tap in. It was like a cross, and Giroud came in because his movement is fantastic too, right? He's not just a beautiful man. Brilliant. The guy's got beautiful movement. Hey, nobody. There's one thing I can say. Nobody can hate on that man's looks. Giroud is a very good looking human being. I remember he came in for the left. The cross had come in, and he just flicked it into the net and did his runoff celebration, and I was that hurt. That hurt my soul.
Isn't it a bit worrying though that if it is Lindelof against Giroud,
he's going to bully him. He's going to absolutely bully him, and this is why I think we need the extra midfielder tomorrow, because we can't cede possession. We can't have any sort of breakdown in the middle where it ends up with us being outnumbered or them having us on an overlap where Giroud gets a one-on-one with Lindelof. Not saying facing him up, but any cross into Giroud versus Lindelof, it's probably a goal. And we know David De Gea is not going to come for the ball, unfortunately, at this point.
Well, that's an issue, isn't it? Because I don't know if it's still the case, but I know not that long ago, Chelsea had scored, I think, the most corners in the league, I believe. And I don't know if that's still the case, but they'll still be up there. And
Zuma won't be playing, though.
Yeah, true.
That's who scored most of them.
I still think, like, against a team that's very good at set pieces, it's just silly playing De Gea. It's just kind of walking into a trap. Whereas if we played Henderson in goal, he claims crosses, and I think we've spoke about this before, but a big thing for me with Henderson is if we're starting a counter attack or a quick attack, let's say they've just had a corner and he catches it, he finds Rashford or Greenwood and he pings up to them, and more often than not they get it and it starts the attack and it's fast. De Gea he's not awful at it, but he's not as capable at it. Obviously he's a brilliant shot stopper, but his distribution's never been that good, and that's not me dissing him, that's just a fact. He's always been
I don't even think Dean's that good at it. He's just better. It's kind of the Kepa Mendy situation. Dean's no Ederson or Alisson, but he's just much better at doing it than David De Gea is, because David De Gea doesn't do it. It's just not like he's never. That's just not him. And again, that's not a diss. Like I'm completely fine. I get this whole new world of like your keeper being good and adding an extra ball player, basically XYZ. Cool, I understand that. But there is still a world where just being a good keeper, good shot stopper matters. Like an Emi Martinez is a very good example. Like, he's not amazing with his feet, but he's a hell of a shot stopper. You know what I mean? So who would you pick? Who would you pick for your team? Because you know my team now.
Yeah, it's so difficult because there's some players we don't know whether they'd be fit or not. So it's kind of. But I think, do you know what?
We know Scott's
Yeah, I'm going to say what I do and not what I think Ollie's going to do, because what I personally would do is go Henderson in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, and I think Bailly. It won't happen because Bailly played the other night, but I think this would be the best thing to do to deal with, like, basically Giroud and just, last ditch defending in general. I mean, I think there was a game. Was it when we beat Chelsea 2-0 last season? I think Bailly made about 15 million incredible blocks.
I can't remember. I can't remember the game where he made. It was this year actually. He made a block where the whole team mugged him.
Against Villa, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was against Villa, and the whole team was just like you. But I hear you on the Bailly thing. I really do. I'm back. My streamer completely just bugged on me there.
Yeah, I think Bailly. I think Bailly should play in this. It's weird because Maguire and Lindelof in big games are actually really good. They're really, really good because my friend commented on this because he kind of he like studies like tactics and stuff, and he made a comment when we played Arsenal, and he said the thing with Ollie's system is it really relies on ball players because you notice when we counter attack, Maguire and Lindelof push up that bit more, and then Wan-Bissaka or whoever, it goes a bit wider, and then it creates the counter attack. Whereas with Bailly, like, you probably wouldn't have that as efficiently because his distribution isn't as good as Lindelof's. But yeah, so I think I would personally go for Bailly, but I think he will go for Lindelof and Maguire because for all the criticism they get in these kind of games, they are quite good. Against West Brom's, they're not good, but in this, they're good. And then midfield wise, it will be because there's no McTominay, is there? Which is big blows. So
no Bonka, no McTominay.
Yeah, that's a really big blow. That, I mean, I think it'll be. I'm going to go Matic, Fred, and Bruno.
You can keep it safe,
The reason being that as much as I actually like your idea actually of that team of the diamond, but the fact that Van der Beek's been injured as well. I mean, that on top of the fact he never. I kind of
forgot about that. I forgot that Van der Beek's been injured. That's a good point.
So it's difficult, but then equally, there's a contradiction in my front three because I've gone for Rashford, Greenwood, and James. But obviously, James has been injured, so we don't know. But obviously, if he's not fit, it will be Martial in that front three. So it does. I think we're both touching on the fact that it's probably either going to be Donny van der Beek in the midfield or James or Martial in the attack. That's the kind of two main ones.
The two big that could be different, right? I hope Van der Beek is, because I agree Van der Beek starting. I'm not going to say it's criminal because I still haven't seen enough from Van der Beek to say that he absolutely deserves to start. I'm going to say that right here. But I will say, I think we need to overload the midfield, and we don't have anybody else right now unless he wants to get real cute and start with Amad Diallo and do something crazy on the right. This is interesting from Abdi because I'm not a Chelsea fan, so I wouldn't know that. Tuchel has chipped Havertz as a false nine. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't know. Anybody who's listened to me talk about Chelsea, and I'm not going to hide right now on this fact, I don't rate Kai Havertz currently in the Premier League. I do not think he is ready. I think the league is too big and strong for him at the moment. He is a very, like, if you look at him, he's a svelte kid. He's had a lot of injury issues. He's had COVID. The pressure's been heavy. If he plays, I would hope that our center backs would have no problem with him. But as a false nine, that's when he's been best in Germany. Like, that's one of his best positions. So that would be an interesting situation. Cho scares me because Cho's a baller. He's very good, I think. Mount, I have nothing but respect for Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount's a great player.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's one of those players, he gets ridiculed a bit because the manager likes him so much. But I think Mount is actually a really, really good player. And I think he's weirdly underrated, isn't he? Yeah.
So this Benji Day one.
Yeah.
That's honestly, Benji, that's probably what's going to happen. Like, I was going with what I would hope, but I think that is your most likely starting 11 for tomorrow. And let's hope. I think every true United fan wants to see Martial score tomorrow. If Martial scores tomorrow, so that's a good segue. Score predictions. What are we thinking? We've been off.
We're terrible at this. We're terrible at this. Do you know what? Like this podcast, we should hire in specialist score predictors for this bit. I think because I don't know why I get asked to do this bit. I'm so bad at it. I'm going to say. What am I going to say? I'm going to say 2-1 United, and I really hope that this will be my first prediction that comes off, and that I won't look like a complete idiot. And I think it could actually be very similar to the game at Stamford Bridge last year. I think they'll have a lot of chances, but I think we'll probably get them on the break. I hope, and yeah, why not? Yeah, do you know what I'm going to say? I think Martial will score. He's very good against Chelsea. Very good at Stamford Bridge. Let's hope he carries it over. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-1. What are you saying?
1-0 United. It's going to be a cagey game, I think. I hope it's not a draw. I really do. I can't. We don't need another draw on our resume right now. So let's move away from that. I'm going to go 1-0. I think it's going to be a cagey game. And I have a hunch. It's probably going to be Bruno doing something. I don't know what, and we're just going to have to hear about, and we'll laugh because we don't care. Oh, Bruno wasn't in this team, blah, blah, blah. That's what we're going to have to hear.
That is such a ridiculous argument, honestly.
So we're going to have to hear about that. We got bits. My boy Bob's here saying 3-1. I like Bob's. Let me tell you, I like the confidence. I've been confident the last few previews I've done here. And if you've seen them, I've been really wrong. Like I said 4-0 against Sheffield United. I said 4-0 against West Brom. So I'm reining in my confidence this time around, and I'm going with a
United one.
The Sheffield United one. I didn't show my face for a bit on Trafford Talk. I was like, I can't show my face because I was like, I don't want to talk about Sheffield United. I'm like, why are you doing this preview? So I'm wasting my time.
We were so blasé. We just sat there and kind of went, yeah.
We talked about everything else. Like we didn't even talk about the game.
Fine.
We'll be fine.
We'll be fine. We'll win 4-0.
It's going to be a wrap. And then Abdi, rumors are Ollie will get sacked next. Ollie's fine. Ollie will be in the job unless like we crash out of the top 4 and then lose our net, which isn't going to happen. Ollie's fine. He's outlasted so far, in my opinion. This is we'll end it here soon because I know you got a dip. Ollie outlasted Frank. He's probably going to outlast Pirlo. Arteta, I mean, isn't doing better than Ollie. So realistically, out of all the legends that were hired to manage their squads, Ollie's the cream of the crop in that group. Like the bookies got it wrong. They said Ollie was out by Christmas.
Yeah, that's the thing. And also, I know he's not kind of that mold, but I think he's going to outlast Mourinho. And he arrived about a year after Mourinho arrived.
Which is crazy. Wild. It's crazy.
Mourinho's already been through his whole cycle in about a year, just kind of without the success bit, unfortunately.
We didn't get the 2-year, the second year capitulation. It was like, remember last year when he was chatting all that nonsense, being like, we're the champions of the last 9 games or some shit? I was like, never change. Never change. Anyway, man, I appreciate you coming on. Let's end it here. Thanks to everybody who watched and engaged. A lot of fun this one. And we'll be back for Crystal. Actually, I might not. Crystal Palace is midday, right? It's midweek, right?
I think it's Wednesday, 8:15.
Yeah, that'll probably be Ahmed because I can't do the midweek ones. Canada job, all that life. But I will be back for the weekend game. And let's go United. And hopefully one of us gets a prediction right.
Let's get a score prediction right, please.
Like, subscribe, take care.